Yeah, okay, I'm online.
Ah, super.
So, Teddy Gandu, it was your internet only. You hadn't paid the bill and you're blaming it on me.
Really? Man, I have two internets, yeah.
Which one did you pay a bill of or you didn't pay any? Then go on to 4G.
No. The 4G, the problem with the bloody 4G in my house is just like a 2G.
Oh, okay, that way.
Yeah. Okay,
I
great.
hope, I hope you have some energy also with you. I see your face and I feel like talking all this shit. I don't know why. It's just like,
But that's amazing.
I just look at you and I just feel I have to say something stupid. That's it.
You look at me and the shit comes out.
Totally.
But I'm happy. I'm happy if I can, like, if someone feels like that when they see me, because man इतना serious होके क्या फायदा है ना life में.
I know, seriously, yeah.
मतलब मेरे को तो फायदा नहीं है.
तो अभी सीरियस होके आया ना कहीं से.
मतलब जो भी सीरियस जब भी आप होते हो उसका फायदा आपको ही है, मेरे को तो कोई फायदा नहीं है उसका.
Absolutely.
बराबर ना. But I'm glad that I mean, I'm not happy about the lockdown situation and all, but for whatever reason we have this moment to chill, to figure things out, and to just give some time to each other.
Absolutely.
You know, the conversations that we can have between friends, catch up, engage people online. ये सब के लिए तो I think we should utilize this time to the best. क्या फायदा घर पे बैठ के रोके.
I know, absolutely.
आप अपना
कभी भी किधर भी बैठ के रोके फायदा नहीं है.
हाँ, अपना 4000 स्क्वायर फीट के घर पे बैठ के आप कहाँ पर टाइम पास कर रहे हो अभी फिलहाल.
अभी देखता हूँ actually, so in the last lockdown I could go blindfolded from the entrance to my room. So now I'm trying to figure out blindfolded from to other rooms from my room and entrance to the kitchen and things like that.
Guys, over here, we have a lot of friends who have tuned in. Yeah, loads of DJs.
Shine, Martin, Mandar, Amay, Vipul, everybody. Hey, what's up?
Amay, Vipul. We had Prem Mittal. We had a lot of DJs earlier who tuned in. I hope they have come back. Yeah.
I'm sure they have. Kavita,
some more of your fan club tuned in. Amy, Kavita.
Yeah. Hey, it's not Amy, okay? It's Ami.
Ami?
Yeah.
Kasa hai Ami? Oh, we got Shri. We got Shri online. Digvijay. You know Digvijay? The booker from my school. Yeah, Vicky. Yeah. So okay. So guys, you guys be online. ये hi बोलते जाएंगे तो यार we will we will lose a lot of time over here. So Suketu, man, I have known you now since '98.
That's right. First DMC. The
first DMC, and I want to ask you a few things today, and it's going to be public, okay? Like because जो भी है कुछ चीजें कहने की होती है, कुछ चीजें
expose me.
No, there's not. To be very honest, I can't dig shit into you, man. There's nothing to do about exposing you. But there's a lot to know about you today. There's a lot to know about you because I feel ki, from your fan base, you have a huge fan base, people that follow you. And there are some over here with us over here from music school, including the DJs. We've spent certain time with you. But unlike me and some others that we have in the group in Bombay, these guys have not spent that much time with you. It's very limited time, or they know you as an artist who is popular, who's done some great work in the industry. So I think this session will keep it more about getting to know a lot about Suketu that one doesn't know.
Okay.
And maybe I also get to know a few things, because time is never enough.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I want to ask you one thing. How did you erupt, man? Because I know one thing. I was in Bombay. I was not an active DJ at that time, but I was like partying 3 to 4 years before I got into the profession. So from South Bombay to North Bombay to bloody Borivali, Virar, I knew people. I knew DJs because, man, I used to hang out in Blackout and Avalon and all, where the world would finish partying and come there, right?
Right.
I have never seen you in my life. And then one day, I mean, I moved to Bangalore, and the first DMC I was a part of, there were 9 of us who were a part of.
Yep.
I knew all the 8 DJs. I didn't know this one name, Suketu. I didn't know. And then I came to Bombay and I met you. Very, very humble, like purely humble. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, those days the craziness that each DJ had.
Right.
यार ये वैसा दिखता नहीं है, ये बंदा एकदम सिंपल सा है यार, ये क्या क्या ये स्पेशली आज के लिए आया है कि क्या है, you know what I mean? I
Right.
swear to God, because I don't know, unfortunately we didn't end up meeting or something. Tell
Right.
us about that, yeah. Tell us like how you got into this, like, you know, how did you make it straight to the first DMC? Because I don't think you played anywhere as a DJ before that.
Right. So the thing is that I was never a club DJ, and actually I didn't really think about becoming a DJ as such. I wanted to do something to do with entertainment, but I got into DJing in college when I got into FIJC at HR College, and I heard Hussein playing for the first time over there, and it just blew my mind, man. I mean, I was like, this guy is doing some shit with those decks over there, and I don't even know what he's doing exactly, but it looks really interesting, and I think I need to get into it. And one thing led to another. I got myself some players and started doing some parties with, for some college friends and everything for their sweet 16s and 18th birthdays, etc.
Which
And
year was
that's about it. This was 96.
Huh,
And
huh.
and it was like just basic. I used to be playing from a cassette deck, or I used to be playing with a regular CD player which I had at home, which was a Sony M33. I still remember, the tray comes out and you put the CD in, and it was like it's no pitch control, no nothing, everything was just there. And then I met Joe Azzarello when I was just looking around.
Suketu, your voice is slightly choppy. Someone else also is saying it.
Oh, okay. I don't know. These Apple
Speak into the phone. ये 25,000 का.
Yeah. Okay. So can you hear me better? Okay. So the thing what happened was that I got in touch with Joe again, and I saw his ad in the paper that he's training people learning on turntables. So I just went to him, met him. He took some sort of a test, and he said, "Oh shit, man, you really have the thing for it. So why don't you learn?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." One thing led to another, and my first thing was that he told me was that 1998, go and see the DMC. He didn't even tell me take part in it. He just said go and see it, because I just wanted to see what it is. I came there, just saw all you guys, and I just was like, oh my god, I don't think I can ever do anything like this. And then I went back to my private party thing. 2 months before DMC was going to happen, I had registered myself. I got a pamphlet at home. There was no email or anything like that. I got a pamphlet at home saying that, if you're interested, we are doing the second round on 1999, and if you like to take part, if you're a DJ, then come by.
So I met you on the second round, not the first.
No, the second round, 1999. So then after that, I took part, and I think I just walked in without any hopes of anything, because I saw you guys perform the year before, and I said, I'm never even going to be close to these guys, and then suddenly, it just all worked out.
I was really, really shocked, because like I told you, those years networking was in person,
Absolutely.
in person. So not knowing you from anywhere and then seeing you there and then meeting you, I was just like, wow. And then, you guys had this, the top guys got a contract with Times and stuff like that. And then you cracked Bin Tere Sanam, and boom, like, everybody got, yeah.
So the DMC was a sort of a changing point for me, because people actually then heard of me. So then I started getting calls from Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Delhi, and all. The people asking me that, would you like to come and play at a club? And I had, very frankly speaking, never played in a club. My first time playing in a club was at the DMC in 1999, and I didn't even know what it was like playing in a club. I've only gone and partied at the club here and there and watched DJs perform, but never played. So yeah, it was this thing, just like, wow, I didn't know this would do something like this to me.
But were you doing anything else, like while you were doing this training with Joe? Joe is one of guys online over here. If you would definitely don't know who Joe is.
Yes.
A few of them in Bombay will definitely know who he is. He's actually possibly one of the oldest living DJs right now, and his dedication to music industry, none of us can understand, because he's of a different level the way he is. This man deserves a lot of respect, and Suketu is one of his proud students also. Someday I think I need to get Joe online and
that'll be great. That'll be great. But before anything, Ivan, sir,
quick hello.
welcome online.
Yeah, Man, I've been trying to get him. I want to get him to have a chat with me, but yeah, he lives 2 kilometers from me. You know, it's so difficult to get him actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Really? Online?
Yeah. Online, online. He doesn't want to meet. He doesn't want to meet in person at all. He doesn't want to
Really?
meet Shine and me. Go to his house. He doesn't want to meet us there also because he's like stay away. But
I can totally understand that, because most of the time when you're in Bombay, even I don't want to meet you. Just
so
kidding, just
Ketu,
kidding.
tell us one thing. While you got into your whole love for music and you started DJing and stuff, did you think that this is actually what you were going to do, or were you doing something else? Like were you
No,
studying to?
I was actually I was actually learning the tabla. I learned the tabla for about 3 to 4 years, and I actually wanted to play the tabla and become a professional in that. In fact, I have performed with Roop Kumar Rathore, Sonu Nigam, Pandit Jasraj back in the day, and I've done concerts with them. I've done solo concerts as well on stage playing the tabla.
You performed with them?
Totally. Yeah, I was on the tabla, and they're singing and everything like that. Yeah, so I was actually jammed with them as a part of their band. And
Wow.
then I saw Hussain sir, and he just changed my life. Actually, the thing is, I never could, even meet or speak to one girl. And I saw Hussain sir walk in over there and get behind the decks, and the first 5 lines were only girls surrounding him to take his picture, to hug him, kiss him, hold his hand. I said, bloody hell, ये तो कुछ तो करना चाहिए. एक लड़की तो मिलेगी college में. And I was supposed to be in the most happening college in South Bombay that time, doing my commerce at HR college, and I thought that चला मैं अभी भी ऐसे ही ऐसा पढ़ता हूँ. That's it. So I said, चल एक इसको try करते हैं.
Now this thing even I didn't know. We've hung out so much. We've had some mad sessions between the two of us, and oh, by the way, hey Bhagwan, why couldn't this person go to sleep today at this hour? Why is he here online? Akhtar,
Oh my God.
Akhtar, you should go back to sleep. You should not be awake at this time. This is your resting hour. Please leave us.
Akhtar sir.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't know why we haven't. I don't know if Akhtar also knows about this. Yeah, that you used to play. Did you pursue it later? Like, did you complete it, and like, can you still
Absolutely.
play?
So the thing is that I wanted to actually just do DJing in my college from my FYJC to BCom while I finished my BCom, and get some extra pocket money, hang out, more money to spend, a couple of more old monks, because that time it was 18 rupees small. So you just feel like some more money to buy some of that. But yeah, but by the time I reached TY BCom, my dad actually told me that you're really good at this, and things are going well. People really know you. They're inviting you. You took part in these competitions. Things are going well. Why don't you just complete your education and pursue this side by side and see if something can work out? And he had told us right at the beginning that my business is good enough for one son to take. Fortunately, unfortunately, we have 3. So एक को धंधा मिलेगा, दूसरा 2 खुद का देख लो. जैसा
So you have 2 more brothers.
Absolutely, 1 elder brother, 1 younger brother. So it was always a thing that my
अभी हम
dad
लोग कभी
pushed.
नहीं मिले.
Sorry?
इनको भी हम लोग कभी नहीं मिले.
Yeah. My younger brother probably is a little bit more the party guy, but my elder brother is a very proper family man. Hardly goes out at nights. Not that. But I got a lot of my music interest from him, because he's an amazing music collector, and he's been superb, from college, and till now he's got the digital audio tapes, the DATs, and a lot of his LPs still lying. So it's really amazing. Yeah.
They live in Bombay?
Yeah. So we all live around each other only. So my younger brother stays with my parents. My elder brother stays about 30 seconds walk from my parents, in 3 buildings away. And I stay about 3.5 kilometers away from my parents, 4 kilometers away.
So basically half of Marine Drive belongs to you all. That's what you're trying
really?
to say.
I wish.
Seriously. So for the ones that don't know, if you guys like cricket and you all know where Wankhede Stadium is, Suketu's building is touching the compound of Wankhede Stadium. So every time, I whenever IPL is on, that's my most favorite time, because I go to his house, we hang out, and we have a cup of chai, and we play a few shots of cricket inside his house. Because
I try very much to stay in studio till late, because I know that this guy has to go inside the stadium and report by 4 p.m. So I try to come home by 4:30. So then when Clement calls, oh shit man, मैं अभी तक स्टूडियो में हूँ, अभी बस निकल रहा हूँ,
मैं
मेरे को
फंस गया. Yeah.
So did I say the truth or not? Tell me.
No, of course. But listen, you know what? Like, I'm quite amazed to know this skill exists in you, the tabla one. So I'm going to make sure for the next hangout that we have between us, you, me, our superstar DJ group, Akhtar, and all of those guys. Man, I am going to ask you to do, like, play a set or whatever, like with the
Oh
tabla.
my
Because
god. I haven't
think
touched or played the tabla since I think about 18 years now.
you can practice the first round on me in the first couple of minutes. I will allow you to do that. But I'm actually quite surprised because you know what, with the skills that you have, because buddy, if you participated in DMC and you mastered, I don't think anyone has mastered it that well. But like for whatever skills that we absorbed by then and we participated and we showcased, and if you did that then. To add the tablas on and all that stuff, man, would be amazing. Like, if you could possibly add that to your set, it would be something else.
I should have actually thought of something like this or done something like this back in the day when I was with it. But I used to normally just that time used to only use the metronome on my computer or just like one beat to play along with it so that I get my tempo right and I can hold the tempo properly when I'm playing the tabla. But then once I think I got into DJing full time, the tabla just sort of went on the side and then the turntables and the CD players and the pioneers and all just came in the air. But no, good.
What kind of music did you start with? Like while you were with Joe and while you were doing your private parties, I'm sure it's like hardcore, commercial and Bollywood, but whatever, you can still tell. But
right.
What caught your attention, and what was it that you really wanted to play or you played?
So, well, growing up, the music which I mainly grew up with was a lot of rock and retro. So till date, I'm a massive fan of Pink Floyd. I love U2. I love Europe. I love Sammy Hagar. So Van Halen and Eddie. I mean, they all are like the people who I've actually listened to and I've grown up, and I just totally love them. Doors and everything, yeah. But once I got into the DJing bit of it, actually the thing was at that time, I mean, you know more than I do, that the Bollywood part was just maybe about 15%, 20% of the set, even in a private party. The major part was commercial music, pop music and everything like that. So yeah, that's something that's what I started listening to a lot. So like a lot of Madonnas and Samantha Fox and Phil Collins.
A lot of pop from the 90s, basically.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, But were you like well versed with Bollywood as well? Because the way you did your first remix, the songs that you chose.
Yeah, Bollywood was always a part of it because mom, dad used to listen to a lot of Bollywood, of course, and then there used to be the proper commercial, those 15, 20 tracks that we used to play at private parties. So yeah, I always was with Bollywood. So even till I knew a lot of times back in the day when we used to tell people that what the music used to play, and I tell them I play Bollywood mainly, and they used to be like, oh, Bollywood, I play this and I play that and whatever. I never felt bad saying it. I never felt shy saying it because it's something which I loved. I did not want to, I didn't want to hide it. I don't care what anybody would think about it, and So that's why maybe even when I took up the track, Pyar Zindagi Hai was one of my favorite tracks. Muqaddar Ka Sikandar was one of my favorite tracks of Amitabh Bachchan. That's why I picked that track. Times Music told me that Amit Sharma had already remixed that track and it's already out. So if you release the same track as your first track, it might probably get lost. But I still just said, no, this is going to be it. This has to be it.
You know what? Times Music was basically they bought in a DMC championship.
Yeah.
But they asked everybody to do a Bollywood remix. Maybe that worked because it has worked for. I mean, whoever did that album,
absolutely,
definitely.
But Clement, I'll tell you one more interesting story about how I got the recording contract with Times Music. I don't think many people know about this. So the thing was that the year before, Ritesh had won, right? And he already got a contract with Times Music. And he, had to do the second time when I took part, I was first runner-up. And because Ritesh Nasha already had a contract, they had to give the contract to the second person. So, it was just like by luck that I got the contract because Ritesh already had it. If somebody else would have come first at that time, they would have probably got the contract and I'd be sitting and doing demos here and there and trying to get things going, which I still did. But yeah, that was the main
But
thing.
but you know what? Your luck came to you. But if the track hadn't been such a wonderful one, it would not have, you would not have been where you are today. So I think you did justice to that luck that came to you.
Thank
And since then, it's just been like this, my friend, to you. And undoubtedly, even today, it's one of the most important tracks that is played in possibly every DJ set.
Yeah.
Because they bring so many memories, from that time. Akhtar and Ivan and all are just like raging it over there, and they're practically stripping me. Ivan is saying I should play tablas with Samantha Fox. I really wish though. I really wish, like Ivan, I swear to God, like sometimes the things you say.
I know we'd play something for sure. I don't know what it is though.
Yeah. um, well, you know what? We have a few questions for you. Okay, this is a very basic one though. What would you be if you wouldn't be a DJ? Like, were you learning?
Well, I
Were you
think
educating yourself?
I'd definitely be in the entertainment industry, and that's something which I had given myself. So the thing is that again, coming from a Guju background and everything, we do a little bit more planning than I don't know, maybe you should. So it was always like that I'd given myself a benchmark that by 28, if I'm not done something in this, then I have to be in the entertainment industry, but something else. So it could be I would probably be working at a music company, or I could be probably an artist manager or something like that. I don't know. I mean, just something to do with the entertainment industry. I probably might be, just doing programming at a nightclub, like which artist to get when or things like that. But yeah, that's about it. And Raj Khanna said he has a lot of questions to ask me, but he can't ask them here. Raj Khanna.
Raj, we really wouldn't mind you asking the questions here, because today it is about a lot of people getting to know about as much as possible about Suketu. Ivan is saying I want to be Clement's cook. Man, Ivan, I want to be your cook. I swear to God, I want to come to your house and be your cook, but because there is so much for me over there in your house than you have in my house.
Rohan's actually saying I would probably be a host on a casting couch. That would be like pretty amazing, no?
But it's amazing. It's amazing. Right now, like I said, during this lockdown, the way things are connected. Like, man, Ivan, when he started his live sessions last year, bedtime stories, from 20-30 audience to now, like having in hundreds and hundreds people, and it has become a community by itself. And those people have started connecting with each other. There is so much of music to learn. There's so much of flirting going on. There's like it's everything chalu, full on chalu. You know what I mean? So the lockdown has done a lot of good. Also, I have met so many people, and your followers are increasing more during lockdown. Well, okay, we'll do some faltu chatting as well. But okay, Vipul had a question for you. Were you doing radio jingles at one point?
So it's something which I wanted to get into. I had done, actually not radio jingles, but I have done quite a few background scores for ads. So for ads, for AXN TV channel, some of their promos, so the music which follows it and everything, the AXN Action Awards. So I've done a lot of that stuff. I wanted to do radio jingles, but didn't. I mean, I don't know if I couldn't break into the market somehow, and I wasn't really too good at it, though I did try to attempt it, and then I just let it go. Yeah.
Which is your DAW right now that you use to produce and stuff like that? What DAW do you use?
So currently I'm working on Logic Pro X, but I started off with Hyacint on Nuendo, then we went on to Reason and Nuendo, then I shifted to Ableton, and Hyacint was on Reason, and then he shifted fully to Nuendo, and I got this bug of
Logic
Pro X, and then I haven't been able to get off it since.
Okay, great. You use so many DAWs. What do you find, like, which DAW do you really find more convenient?
I think that every DAW is as good and has everything that it should. Samir, shut up. Ableton is not the best. But no, I'm just kidding. So each one is really good, and but I think it's just the way you use it. I don't know. I was maybe just comfortable with logic, and you know how people say that once you get a little older, you're a little bit more resistant to change. So maybe that's what's happening. But I did try to give Ableton a very big try, because everybody said Ableton 11, 10, 11, whatever is it right now, it's damn good and all that stuff. And but I just said no, Logic is there, and right now the work is happening so fast on Logic that it just doesn't matter.
See, this basically is a personal preference. I feel, like
Absolutely.
what the audience really doesn't give a damn about what DAW have you used while producing. It's a personal preference.
Absolutely.
And I think even we have come to understanding is bottom line is the product, how it sounds, and it really doesn't matter how you made it, what you made it on, because while you guys, our generation, I would say, started producing things that just come in. We were not born like in the computer era,
Right.
because I think and from there to today, like I still find it challenging, man, to understand all these things. So I think to each one its own. For me, bottom line, what matters is, like, man, if you have put out a good product over there, that's
it. Doesn't matter what you're using. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. And okay, you are in the. Did you ever imagine, like, it was Bollywood that would make you so big?
Somewhere down the line, yes, I think so, because I was always a private party DJ. So I knew that Bollywood was always a big part of my life right from the beginning. And yeah, I thought, I mean, Bollywood, I think, would be the thing. And especially at that time when remixes were going really good and everything. So, yeah, I think Bollywood was the way. I knew that my album would be either it's going to make my life or it's going to finish my life, and that's about it, and that's all.
If you find me smiling and laughing in between while you're talking, it's not.
I read.
Yeah,
Shine finds you very cute.
Because there is, like, forget about what Shine finds me. There's a lot of roasting going on, full blown roasting, and our Bombay girls also have joined them. Dimple, etc. And like it's like I've come on this line, मेरी खुद की मारने के लिए. So it's like, yeah.
Akhtar is asking that, do you cook?
Clement Sena, do you cook? Of course, I cook. I do. But यार मैं इतने जनों के लेते रहता हूँ, तो मेरी अगर कोई ले रहा है तो, and it's no problem. I love them.
Yes.
It's fun, it's fun. Okay. Do you believe? Okay, this is thoda. Do you believe mental health is important for DJs, especially in times like these? What tips would you like to give the younger generation going through tough times?
So, I can't stop reading Akhtar's comments.
See, cooking and stop pakawing is the same thing. I'm pakawing, I'm cooking now. Yeah. What are you talking about, Akhtar? Get your facts right, brother. Get your facts right.
So yeah,
I think it's the same thing.
No, mental health is absolutely very, very important, and it's not only at this time. I think any time. I always feel that it's like, and I've always been very pro it, irrespective of the lockdown or no. It doesn't matter, because right now the lockdown is there, so of course the pressure and the issues are more. But even there are times in your career where you feel that nothing is happening and you're just stuck there, or you've gone down and you're not performing as well as you did, or you're not producing as well as you did, or you feel that the work which was happening before is not happening, so things like that. So I always felt that mental health is the most important thing to keep in touch with, and that's the first thing that I did when the lockdown got announced. That other than the first 1 week where I took it a little easy, I kept my routine like I'm living a regular day, irrespective of anything. The only difference was that I wasn't meeting people and I was doing everything from home. But absolutely, I think that is the most important thing. So when a lockdown happens, stop thinking that I can wake up late and I can sleep late and I can do this and I can do that, or I can have an extra drink or I can't. I started that from literally the 8th day after the lockdown started, that I used to wake up in the morning, do my workouts like I did, eat whatever I did when I was on pre-lockdown. So from my almonds and my walnuts and haldi panis and this and that and whatever shit you do, anything and everything, it just went on the way it is. and have breakfast, have a shower, and get ready. So not just have a shower and sit in your sleeveless or your shorts and everything and hang out. Get ready, like how I would go to studio, and I would actually go to my laptop and I would sit there, and I would sit there till I knew that it was lunchtime, because that's what I did in my studio. That's it. So I think that's one thing that everybody needs to do. That when a lockdown happens or anything like this happens, you just need to make sure that that routine stays as much as possible. And that's why maybe I didn't. I was okay and I was sane enough to handle it. So that is one thing that I feel everybody should do. And I think eating healthy. I think that the 3 best months of my life, if I'd say, where I've been the healthiest, was when all the restaurants shut down and there was no deliveries and no pickups and no Swiggies and nothing like that. It was literally the 3 best months of my life health-wise. Like I haven't felt more fitter and better. And if you're physically fit and you see that, you automatically become mentally fit. And yeah, I just, like I said, I did everything after lunch. Again, get back to my computer, then get finish, stop work, because at studio I used to finish work at 4:35 and I used to get home unless until there was an urgent project going on. So actually, switch off my computer at 5 p.m., have a cup of coffee, and connect with anybody else who I would pre-COVID, like if I was going to meet a friend, I used to call that friend up, I used to speak to him or her, have a drink with them if need be, or have a coffee with them online or something like that. So just try to keep it, have dinner on time, watch television as much as you really should, and then go to sleep doing your reading or everything by 10:30 in the night. So I just kept that up, and I think that's what got me through, and that's why I never felt that the lockdown was as bad as how people were, felt it was. And I knew that I was working on weekends and I was playing music on weekends, and that's why I did my sets on the weekends. So I used to actually feel that I should go to a console and play music. So I try to keep my mind, keep telling my mind that, listen, everything is fine, it's all good. You're working, it's a weekend, so go and spin music. Go and make your set, make your playlist, download music, listen to new music, do all that stuff. So it was just, yeah, that's what helped me out.
But I must also tell you one thing. I don't know how you look at it, but DJs like you, Ivan, Reggae, who else is there right now? Vipul. Akhtar needs mental help. I'll come to that. Wait. But a lot of DJs in this country, which includes, like I told you, I mentioned your name as well. While you guys go online, right? You won't believe it's not just the music. It's not just the music, but you guys have actually, like I said, created a community that is online over there. I'm not talking about the trollers. Fuck the trollers. But 80-90% of the people have connected, and it has definitely helped them even in their mental health, because there's so much of fun, there's so much of chat going on over there. People have connected with people have made friends, and anything today, anything to do with the conversation and passing your time well, I think is like being mentally stable for that many hours. Because the moment you come back to your own sanity,
right,
everything comes back to you.
Yes.
And not everyone is privileged right now, who can possibly provide themselves some khana pina and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of them are really going through hard times, man. Some of them are reaching out to people, and some of them are not. So I don't know what's really, because they're introverts and stuff. I really don't know what's going through in their minds and in between their families and stuff. I just wish them well. But seriously, I'll tell you, while you guys go out there and dish out your tunes and stuff, and when you're engaged with the crowd and stuff, bless you guys, man, because you guys are responsible that time to make someone happy. I know it comes out. It's very weird when I talk something serious. But
yeah, I know, man. I don't know if you're making fun of us or what.
No, I seriously am not.
I know.
I seriously am not. In fact, on that note, I feel that even when we hang out as a group, and few years back we came together as we formed a group between all our friends that are in the WhatsApp group and stuff. And whenever we meet and stuff, I feel like forget who we are in our profession, forget what you have made for yourself. How important it is today to connect. Absolutely. And to spend some time to get to know each other, to hang out. Like I said, time's never enough, and we have got to know each other so well. Like
Yes.
Otherwise everyone was in their own zone. Ivan was doing his own thing. Ivan, you were doing your own thing. I was doing my own thing.
Absolutely.
Akhtar was doing nothing. Akhtar was doing nothing. But just coming together, we have got we've become such great friends.
Absolutely.
We've got to know so much about each other, and I think that's the most important thing today. To communicate and to be around. To be around each other and not just be nice on social media, be nice in real.
Real, yeah. Very important.
It's Jazlene. I'm seeing this girl after a long time online. Anyway, so Suketu, keep those sessions going on, man. And for all of those that are tuned in over here, 6:30 is the time that you will get to hear a fabulous set and see what a multi-crore apartment looks like. Okay, in Bombay. But Suketu's sessions by the bay are a few of the most important, nicest sessions, I think, because he chooses the best mixes to play, and a beautiful sun is going down at the back, and your connect with the crowd is amazing. So whoever's here 6:30, don't forget to tune into by the bay. Okay, tell us some of your most embarrassing moments, if you remember them over the last 20 years. I'm sure you have a lot of them.
Oh my God, my most embarrassing moments. I don't know यार actually. Embarrassing moments क्या हो गया यार उसमें?
क्या पता है? मेरे वजह से हुआ है बहुत कुछ. मेरे वजह से बहुत embarrassing moments हुए हैं.
I've never even done anything like that where I've spoken something about somebody and that person standing behind me or something like that. वो भी नहीं हुआ है.
Embarrassing मतलब क्या हो सकता है यार? Like कुछ भी है मतलब.
Gigs पे.
हाँ? Gigs पे भी हो सकता है. Gigs पे भी हो सकता है.
Can't really remember. Embarrassing तो इतना कुछ है नहीं. Had some weird moments here, like when you're playing music. Back in the day, I was playing in this place called the in Thane there used to be this country club, man. I forgot. And that time, the electricity problem used to happen over there, and we were just playing music, and suddenly, we're playing Ishq, which is I think like my third last or my fourth last track, because that's like to say that okay, now bas ghar pe jao, pack up, that's it. So start throwing them out, and that ho came, and normally all the DJs put the volume down, the crowd sings and everything like that. और उसमें जनरेटर बंद हो गया. मैंने तो कुछ किया ही नहीं था. I was just selecting my next track in my case logic, wondering that दूसरा next गाना इसके बाद कौन सा होगा. It's a problem, a big problem. And if Sukhbir is listening to this, he should know that after playing Ishq at 140 BPM, what to play to top it off that, to keep the energy going, so I have no idea, and I haven't figured it out in the last 20 years of my life. So if any of the DJs online know what to play post that, no, please tell me, because I would really like to know. Anyway, so I was checking out which track to play next, and the generator went off, and the crowd is singing, and when I went and took my CD, I said, Salah, what the hell is happening? All power's off, everything is off, and the crowd is singing, chilling, and they are going on and on. So they thought that, I'm making them, and I'm just looking at the crowd like stunned, and they are like, I think Suketu wants us to sing, so let's keep singing. And ultimately the generator came back, everything started off, I put the CD and I played the next track. So I don't know if you call that an embarrassing moment, but it was a very weird moment where
But did the crowd, how was the crowd? How did the crowd react?
They thought that I put the volume down because I wanted them to keep singing. It took a whole 3.5 minutes for the generator to switch on again, come back on, get the thing, and these guys were still singing, and ho was going on, this, that, everything was all that, and there are people who are like, Suketu, you're too good, and this, and I said, hell, really, am I? Maybe I should not play anything, because now I think these guys are so drunk, they don't care what happens.
They must have been dancing to the sound of the generator.
But the generator was off. That's the whole problem. There was no sound.
Sorry. No, but what, are you telling me for 2.5, 3 minutes they only sang?
They were just singing, and the people knew the lyrics to the song. They knew the words. They were like going on and on and on and on. And it was just there. One more thing was there which really helped a lot is that they had got this dhol player to play, with me. So he just went on and on and on. So people were like, they were looking at me. They were not giving that guy credit. I said, boss, wahi hai. Main kuch kar hi nahi raha hu idhar. Mera to band ho gaya hai. Then it came back and we were all set. So maybe you could call that a little bit of an embarrassing moment or whatever, but I took credit for whatever happens. Like, oh, Suketu ne sabko gavaya. Suketu ne sabko nachwaya.
I don't think I would not consider this as an embarrassing moment, because nothing embarrassing really happened here. I mean, it went in your favor actually. But
maybe a weird thing, but not an embarrassing thing.
Yeah. Well, some of them are asking what is the embarrassing moment in my life.
There is most embarrassing moments for me. One I have to say right now is a lot of people mistake Akhil's tracks with my tracks, and so many times they come in front of me and just tell me like, that song "Tu Tu Hai Wahi," it changed my life. I said, really? I'll tell Akhil about it. Yes, seriously, because it's not me. He's like, no, it's your track, and then they are there convincing you that वो तेरा ही गाना है. तो ऐसे अच्छा, ठीक है चलो मेरा गाना मैं शायद भूल गया.
Because do you also think because both of your tunes came around? No, Akhil's came much later actually. Yours came
much earlier. No, much earlier.
Bin Tere Sanam is a later release than Tu Tu Hai Wahi?
Yeah. It was much later. Like maybe about 3 years, 2 years, 2.5, 3 years apart.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was much. But then sometimes, you know, if it's a cute girl telling you that, no, you even agree to it. Really, you love that song? Seriously, I didn't think it was my best work. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, but I'm glad you liked it. Thank you so much.
I know, but also you guys are possibly your remixes are around. How do I say? There's a certain feel to it that is similar, maybe.
Probably.
So there could be a confusion because of that also. But yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. I want to ask you something. You know, Bollywood right now is a community by itself. Like, you know, like how it's one of the biggest. We have to come to terms. I mean, no matter what the DJs think, some of the DJs think like, oh, Bollywood, like, man,
yeah.
it's made people's lives.
Of course.
It's made. Do you still feel that you have to keep going at it, or you made one remix in the past which became the biggest, and then now I can, like, you know, just thrive on it, or you feel like, man, I have to still do something that.
No, that's the thing, you know, I've done so much after that film and it's unbelievable. Like the amount of remixes I've done, I just actually, funnily, was going through some of my folders and everything, and I've just in MP3 format, the amount of remixes just that I've done from 2001, 2002 to till today. It's like a folder of MP3s with just about 1.68 GB. And these are all official releases which I have, you know, released out there. They are there out there from movies and things like that which people haven't even heard. But yeah, so I don't think there's ever a time where I feel that abhi bas yaar, because it's always new genre comes out, so you make a remix of that genre and maza hai. So it's good fun. I would not really stop it for anything.
Kaz is after me and my cap. Like, Kaz, I'll take off my cap. I like wearing a cap because, you know, it makes you feel good. I think if this makes you feel happy, Kaz. Anyway, I hope you're staying well, buddy. And ek din aayega tera restaurant mein. But okay, so see, this is not in regard to put someone down or something like that. But you know, I play Bollywood music, and I have a few DJs that I definitely play their remixes.
Right.
Blindly, because today I know over a period of years they have improvised their creation of their remixes so well, you know.
Right.
And I think a few of them are like Remy, Waggy, Harsh, Harsh Bhutani. There's Akhil when I want to like put some more power in the mixes. So I'm sure that even you play some of the DJs remixes in your sets, right?
Yeah, I do.
So who are the top few DJs that whose remixes you choose to play?
So these are the ones which you named are the ones which I normally play. But most of the times what I try and do is, as far as possible, I would say maybe about 75% of my set, if I play a remix, it's mostly my exclusive mix which I've made. But the balance 25%, but these are the DJs who you're talking about whose mixes I play. So even till date, I wanted to make a mix of the new Husn Hai Suhana from Judwaa 2. And I didn't land up making it. Judwaa 2 ka Husn Hai Suhana. And
one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah. And I heard Remy's mix just before I was starting to make my mix of it. And it was so good that I just didn't need to make a mix because I said, this has just done the job. I mean, that's it. I don't need to make another one. And, you know, so I think it's just, I love playing other DJs mixes also. And I think it's an amazing thing. I'm just loving the fact that there's so much available. Like even in my By the Way sessions, you know, I actually spend time with a couple of my friends, one of them being Mandar, we are online trying to find new deep house mixes, you know, and we've come across so many DJs who are so talented from Nairobi. There's one DJ from London, and you know, one guy who's in Los Angeles. And these guys have uploaded their mixes and they are so good. The remixes are so amazing, the deep house mixes that I just feel. There's one guy from Hyderabad, Apurva. I mean, brilliant mixes. So I just feel that, you know, that there's so much talent and it's just amazing here. Yeah, Smith, that's right. It's Nikki from Nairobi.
You remember when we played 2 years the last Holi show? There was a DJ there called Vicky.
Vicky.
Yeah. If you see, you'll know he was the one who was taking up pictures and stuff.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
He also, I forgot to mention his name. He also puts up every week some fabulous sets, man. The guy's investment in his section of putting up playlists is amazing. And just 2 days back or something, he was playing a deep house set of Bollywood.
Right.
Fabulous. Like I've been wanting to call him and tell him to send me the playlist, man, because amazing. Next level fucking investment in time to put playlists. And I think it's so important, to have all these playlists also. Where can we find all these your remixes that possibly didn't officially get released? Is there a platform where we can find them?
So the thing is that that these mixes I don't give them out. In fact, even Mandar never has them, because the thing is that I just feel that everybody's playing most of those main 35-40 songs, which are like the main in your face commercial set tracks. So I thought if I have my mixes, then maybe that's the only way I can probably be a little different from somebody else. So if somebody says, "Oh, did you hear that mix of Super that's okay to play?" then you would feel that okay, then let's call him to play because he has that mix and nobody else. So I just feel that those certain mixes which I spend time to do and to get out, I just I don't upload them anywhere, and they're mainly for myself. Yeah. So
लालची.
No offense.
देखिए इससे ये लालची इंसान को. But I think possibly there are a lot of them who have not heard some of those unreleased mixes. So maybe in a form of like a non-stop set or something, if you could record one session like that, just to hear, maybe
Right.
we don't get to
Of
play,
course.
but we get to hear a whole set of Suketu's remixes, and I find your remixes playable. A lot of DJs, no disregard, but it's a
No,
sound
of
that suits their ears. From the time EDM has come in, it was okay for a certain time, and some of their production even right now is so hard, so heavy, and they take away the key factor of the track.
So the song, absolutely.
They take away the key factor of the track. I think Bollywood is all about participation, from the melody to the vocals. It's all about participation, and a common man knows exactly when those parts are coming.
Right.
And a lot of these DJs, man, exactly when that part is coming,
They
like, man, they have destroyed the tune. So I feel that's why I mentioned some of those names, because these guys are legends. Like I feel Remy is one of the most underrated DJs right now.
Yeah.
Over a period of time, they have mastered that art so well.
Absolutely.
And you guys, exactly know, because you all have played for so many audience that you all know how that tune should be presented,
Right.
and you all still don't take it away from how the original is. Like, you just give it a good vibe, and I hope that continues. And a lot of DJs have a lot to learn from you all, man. Hey, Bobby is here. Quick hello to Bobby.
Bobby K.
Bobby K, he's planning to go to क्या उसका मैं off late post देख रहा हूँ. He's planning to go to all the places his ship had taken him at one time. London, US, Caribbean, इधर उधर. I'm coming soon. Yeah. I'm coming soon बोल रहा है. But in a way, I think it's good. I used to travel so much, and I don't regret the whole travel situation that happens between us, because it's amazing. Yeah. आज घर पे बैठना है, चुपचाप बैठ जाओ. Anyway,
Right,
so some more questions. Suketu, you're okay to continue the session for some more time?
Sure.
Who would be a dream artist to share the stage with?
Undoubtedly Deadmau5.
Deadmau5.
Yeah, even if I could just be behind over there, hidden, it would be just an amazing thing. I mean, I've seen videos of his studio, and I don't even know how he knows where's what and what's happening, but he's just insane. I mean, I think by far one of the best producers ever.
Technically so
Brilliant.
high up there, you know, so high up there. I think you made Mandar's year.
Yeah, I know.
You made Mandar's year. He's possibly
I can see the
gonna,
fire.
He's possibly going to jump naked right now, I think,
Yeah.
in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's been silent for some time though.
I think, you know what, he spends a lot of time for his production. Like, you know, when everybody was doing live sessions and everything and what they were doing, he came out with this episode, I think somewhere 1.5 months or 2 months down the line of the lockdown happening world over. And he actually did something called the pilot episode 1. When I saw that session online, I was like, we've seen so many DJs perform online with green screens and things like that and whatever. He blew my mind away.
Yeah.
That was the planning that went into it, because he knows that when I do something and it's going to be out there, it has to be something different. It can't be run of the mill. It can't be just like that. I have to, you know, like, people are looking forward, my fans are looking forward to something different, and that's what he did. I mean, you got to check out that session of 1.5 hours on YouTube on the Mousetrap channel. It's just mind blowing.
Good, I'm going to check it out. I would also like to possibly hear one of your remixes influenced with Deadmau5 sound.
Okay.
It's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging because utilizing that sound.
So the thing is, you know what? One thing is that last year I released this one, my first electronic track, which is called Pill. I released it last year. The video is about just me at Marine Drive and, you know, things written over there and everything like that. It's my first electronic release, and that track.
What is it called? What is it called?
It's called Pill. Pill.
Pill.
Yeah, and it's this thing. And that track was fully inspired from Deadmau5's style of music, the way he does things. And when I was producing the track also, the track turned out to be 6.5 minutes, and then I said, yes, this has to be a Deadmau5 track, because none of his tracks are less than 6.5, 7 minutes, because he gives every sound a time. He actually lets you listen to everything that he's adding on. The next element which comes, he wants you to take it in, digest it, and then I say, now see, I'm going to give you this and check it out.
Great, I'm going to check it out. Also, I wanted to ask you something. Like, you know, you guys travel city to city, state to state, country to country. Is there something that you would advise the DJs, you know, like a tip, how to motivate your crowd while you're playing your sessions? Because each city, each state, each country, at that particular time when you're playing, maybe the crowd is slightly different.
Right.
But is there like a you know, a common trick that a DJ can utilize to motivate and keep the crowd engaging?
Regular announcements, I think, is something which is very, very important. And sometimes, you know, I've seen a lot of DJs who are really, really very good and they spin really well. And I'm again pointing this out in Mandar. I know I've mentioned it before also, but I'm going to say he doesn't talk on the mic. So, you know, it takes him a little time to get the crowd going, because he just lets the music talk, which is a damn good thing. But sometimes, you know, you just need to get it going. So I keep telling him. So I think one thing that, you know, if you could just, any DJ could just be a little bit more comfortable with the mic speaking. You don't have to go on and everything like that and be like a stand-up comedian or anything like that. But just, you know, from time to time, giving that one nudge. And, you know, so I keep, like, sometimes I've been to a party where people, I know they want to dance, but they're waiting for that first couple to get onto the floor or something like that. And I know that there's one table, you know, where people are just, like, you know, bobbing their head. They're just grooving over there. So, you know, you make one announcement like, I know you're enjoying the music. I know you want to dance. Don't wait for anybody and feel shy. Just come on and you start the dance floor and then, you know, get going. So once you say that, that girl or guy or the couple, they get a little bit more inspired that, oh shit, man, yeah, let's just start off. If the DJ is saying it, let's go ahead and do it. And then, you know, the rest of them follow. And I think that I don't really, if I need to get the dance floor going and motivate the crowd to dance, the song is very, very important. So the key song. So I would not think I'll leave this song for later, because, I mean, when is the later? The crowd doesn't dance only, the later ke liye kya rakhoge aap? So if you feel you need to play a particular track right there, you need to play
I have a bad habit.
No, I mean, no, but I'm telling you,
I have a bad habit of doing that, and I'm like trying to change that right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just sometimes it's just very difficult that, you know, you need to get them on the dance floor, you need to motivate them, you need to get it going. So there is no this thing. Like, you play that song. If Let's Nacho is going to be the song which is going to get the people to nacho, then let it play it. Finished. That's it. Don't wait up and don't, you know, this thing, because if because the right song can motivate a crowd to just get up there and start moving. So don't be too this thing, like aloof that हाँ ये बाद में बजाऊंगा जब ये एकदम peak रहेगा और ये वो होएगा, लेकिन उनको पहले लेके तो फिर peak बाद में देखेंगे. Something or the other will come because once they are in the flow also, they start dancing. So I think these two things are very, very important when keeping in mind, that how you play. And
I think this tip actually even I need to adapt. Yeah, thanks for the tip, and I hope a lot of the DJs over there, if there was something that you needed to know of what you need to do while you're playing your set, I hope this one really helped you, because it helps me at least, because I have a very bad habit of like saving some of the bangers for later and all those kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway, forget about that. This is about you today. Why is it important to learn from professionals? And do you think an institute like the music school helps in making a difference in the industry?
So the thing is, was that I feel that it's very, very important to learn from a professional, and it's very, very important to actually learn at a good school if you have the facility and the chance to do so, because it saves a lot of time of your life. Like when we started off, nobody taught me how to pitch bend, and nobody taught me how to use the tempo control, and nobody taught me you should see the elapsed time to see how much time is left to get in, for a song to get over, because that's when you have to mix. Nobody taught us that this is the part where you have to mix the song. Don't let vocals to vocals go. So nothing was there. So I felt that, we spent so much time doing all this research. Nobody taught me how to really do proper scratching. I used to actually ask my cousins to send me DMC videotapes of Qbert and things like that from the US, and that was the VHS cassettes, which used to take about 20 days to come because you can't have an express delivery done. So just sit over there and rewind and fast forward and watch them and do everything. So it's just very important that if you have the right school that you go to and the right person teaching you and the professional teaching you, then all that excess time can go and you can actually put your time to being more creative, becoming much better, and explore more new things that you can when it's a wasting time or all this stuff. So I think it's very, very important to go to a good school or have a good professional teaching you. It's just you're on the right track instead of going haywire and then going on the right track. So it's just much better.
Martin has a question. If it wouldn't be for a genre like Bollywood that you played, what other genre would you like to play at a club?
I think I'd probably be a rock and retro DJ. Yeah? I mean, very frankly speaking, I would just be like full on man like that, like the Staying Alive and the Funky Towns and Give Me Hope, Joanna and all that stuff. Hardcore.
I really think you should put a set together one of the evenings in your By the Bay sessions.
By the Bay sessions, yeah.
Because you have fan following which is also from that age that knows that kind of music. So, and they are all over from Australia to Canada to US, and all of these guys I know that follow and tune into your sessions. So I personally feel that they would be amazed to hear you play a set like that, man.
Yeah. Okay, so 1 minute. Gaurav just asked a very important question, that what do I prefer playing at weddings or clubs? Well, the thing is that, in all honesty, I find playing at weddings to be less stressful compared to playing at a club. That is where I'll put it. I love playing at both. There's no problem. The reason why I find playing at weddings less stressful, and I think most of the people find it the other way around, is that over there, nobody cares if you played the same song again or no. So you don't have to worry. एक अच्छा गाना है, उसको 10 बार भी बजा लो ना, आधे घंटे में लोग नाचेंगे क्योंकि वो अच्छा गाना है. And secondly, you have to work only for the first 30 minutes for the people to get on the dance floor. Once they're on the dance floor and they're drunk, you don't have to think only that what to play, because they only keep telling you, Suke tu ye bajana, Suke tu wo bajana, Suke tu ye bajana, Suke tu wo bajana. While in a nightclub, I'm constantly thinking that, okay, I've played this track, this is the energy of the crowd, what do I play next so the energy levels don't go down, because I need to take them for a journey. So, that all that planning goes. I just find that a little bit more stressful, because there it's something, where I just feel that, no, I need to really perfectly do everything. It has to be just there. It has to be just right. So I think, yeah, that's what I feel, that, weddings are slightly more easier for me to play, because sochna hi nahi padta. Everybody comes and tells you which song to play next. You're done, sorted. Wohi gana baja do next. Khatam.
Weddings is more like, there's nothing like just going up or something. It can go all over the place as long as it's a popular tune.
It's a popular tune.
Whereas in a nightclub, there's not much
interaction. Yeah, everything makes a big difference. So yeah.
Yeah, there's no much interaction between the audience and the DJ allowed in a nightclub. So, right. You have just...
yeah, you have to take it and you have to read them and, get it going. When in a night, in a wedding, you don't have to do that because you're accessible to them. You're there for them. You're making sure that their night is amazing. So they just come and tell you what they want, and because you're there for them, I don't mind playing it. I may not play it at once, but I definitely know what is my next song going to be after 2 songs or 3 songs. I don't have to worry.
We got a question coming in from Rex Torin, Rebu. I think, I don't know if it's Rebu talking to us, but his question is, will the future of DJing extend to OTT platforms?
So in a way, it already has pretty much, because we are doing shows online and everything, and things are happening, and people like Deadmau5 and all are doing original music and making sets and putting them online. But I think that once the copyright issues become a little bit better, and I think if the music companies and the social media sites and the OTT platforms sort of integrate to make it a little bit more easier for a DJ to perform online and to go online and actually do things and getting there, I think it will become much better and easier. And music streaming is all on apps and OTTs. I mean, I don't remember the last time I put a CD or a pen drive or an SD card in my car, though I have those facilities. My phone just connects to the Bluetooth, I put on Spotify, my playlist is there, and bang, we're on. So it's already happening, and I'm sure it will get even better and much, easier and much more fun.
Heslin is asking tips for opening DJs. Now, opening DJs in private parties, opening DJs in a nightclub, I really don't know, but like whatever your tips for opening DJs.
So I always think that that it's just necessary, and in fact on my institute's page, I've given a tip just last week only, where I mentioned that it is very, very important. And my tip to the DJs was that it's very important to know when is your time slot and play according to that. I've been to a lot of parties where I've come and the DJ is playing absolutely banging music while the people are coming into the club and buying a drink, and he's already on that big room EDM type music, or he's playing mixes like that, or she's playing mixes like that, and you just feel that what is happening, people are here right now, you need to just let them get into the groove. So play Bollywood, no problem at all, but at least play Bollywood tarike se. If you are an opening DJ, don't play a main set. So I think if you just if you're in a club, a good way to begin is maybe play Deep House. Is a very nice thing to begin with, because it's bouncy, it's groovy, it's got a good bass line, it's got a good beat, it gets the people's head bobbing, get them into the the flow while having a drink and everything, and then slowly shift your way to adding in some commercial Deep House mixes, then maybe a little bit Bollywood Deep House, and then let the main DJ come, and if you are the main star DJ also, then start going into full on proper mixes and getting them going. So at clubs, I think Deep House music is something very, very important to go to. What Mandar does at weddings, normally when he's playing the opening set for me, is he plays mostly love songs in the beginning, Bollywood, because weddings is mainly Bollywood. So he plays a lot of wedding love songs, but which are remixed. So they have a beat, but it's Bollywood. So the people just start getting going. But he would never start off with like a, Subha Hone or Aankh Mare or Nadiyo Paar or anything like that. So he'll probably do that. So I think that is a good thing to just begin with. So that way then you get the people going, they know it's Bollywood, they start getting into the dance floor, and then after that you start hitting. Once you know that your dance floor is looking good, that's when you start banging it and killing it.
I don't understand. DJs are in such rush, or they don't. I'm talking about the more of the younger generation DJs. Invest time in increasing your database of the music, because there is music over the last 30 years which is still popular. You don't need to bang the last 3 years and stuff like that. You can go back in time and put your playlist in order and experiment things. Like try a lot, because people know music. These guys think that just playing the bangers. Anyway, you have explained it all. What I want to ask you was, what do DJs who play in dry states, is there a tip for them? Because dry state में कैसे करते होंगे यार? हम लोग का तो in the other states there's consumption of alcohol going on, right. Mood building and all. What about dry state DJs?
So I think what happens again over there is that because they don't have clubs per se, it's very easy to make them dance, because they're just waiting to party. Like when I go to my native place in Rajkot to meet my cousins, when they say tonight we'll take you out, I think bullshit man, they're taking me out tonight. That means they go to a nice chai wala where you get some good hot theplas and tea and coffee and pan and things like that. So for them, that's like a night hangout. And these people are sitting over there having cups and cups of tea till like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I just didn't get that logic. I mean, what the hell is that? But it's what they do. So I think when they get an opportunity to dance and to party, I don't think you have to even think about what to play. You can even start with deep house, hip hop, tech house. You can start with big room and they'll come and dance. I mean, like I played in a club in Ahmedabad called Ecstasy, and literally I was there and there was a person. I mean, I could see the door open of the club because the console was right in front of the entrance. So you see the door open. The person comes only, he starts, but he's the dance floor. No bar, no nothing. He's on the dance floor and he's killing it, man. He's on the moves. So,
and they've named the club also perfect. I mean, calling your Ecstasy itself means a lot. We got Sam. So yeah, man, Suketu, I would love to go on and on with you, but I know you at 6:30 you've got a session coming up. So all the Suketu fans over here, I would really appreciate if you follow the music school, because we're going to have a lot of our common friends in the next few weeks coming online every Sunday and chatting and batawing some gyan. And there is decades and decades of experiences. We're going to try and get them to talk to you, and I hope it really helps you guys. We're going to try to entertain you all at the same time also. So all the music school people, please follow DJ Suketu and tune into his 6:30 by the Bay session. And all the Suketu fans, please follow the music school as well. One last one. You've been a close friend of the music school overall, and we both have training institutes. Which one do you think is the better one?
Absolutely yours, 100% yours. And my institute is not even not even a patch on your institute. Ekdam full on hardcore, yeah. Totally.
Okay, you know what? Thanks, man, Suketu. Thank you. Payment clear karo, bhai. There's a lot. I was talking to Nikhil last week, and he is a fabulous guy to talk to. His intelligence also is too good. Yeah. One last one. There's a lot of speculation right now whether DJs should, aspiring DJs should invest their time in this profession and stuff like that. Do you have any tips for these guys?
Absolutely. Just because the world is going through something and the entertainment industry is a little slow and bad, it doesn't mean it's over. Because the thing is that at the end of all this stuff, what people are going to jump to first when things open up is entertainment. Because that is the only thing which is lacking for them right now. Going out there and partying and having a good time, or not having that big wedding which you wanted, or not going to that bar and listening to your favorite DJ. So I don't think there's anything at all which is going to stop this industry. We're just going through a little bit of a phase. Every industry does, and every industry follows. I mean, like when the recession happened in 2008, businesses shut down and it just got messed up. But the entertainment industry was still alive because people thought पैसा है कि नहीं है, कम में या खुशी में, entertain करना है, दारू पीना और बाहर जाना है और party करना है. So the entertainment industry and the hospitality industry suffered the least. Now it's just maybe our time, and it's a bad time for us, and that's why we are going through this. But I don't see any way that I would leave this profession for sure, even though lockdowns keep happening, things keep happening. Because even if they do shut down, they will open, and when they do open, people will get back outside to party and to listen to their favorite artists even more than before. Because they will say, "Abhi ghar pe work from home bahut kar liya. Now is the time to really just get out there and let your head down." So if anybody is looking at becoming a DJ or becoming a producer, I feel 100%. My God, with the amount of aggregators available, the amount of OTTs which are there where you can stream your music as an independent artist, 100% you should get into it. So
guys, don't give
up twice.
We will be back.
Twice. Absolutely.
To those who found the session, fun, entertaining, and useful, and you have learned something out of it, please, I'm gonna save this on my IGTV of the music school. So whenever possible, go through it again, share it with your friends, and Suketu, any one last advice to each and everyone over here before we wind up, and we're going to tune into your 6:30 by the Bay. One last piece of advice.
Stay safe and stay healthy. That's the best advice I can give you right now. Nothing to do with DJing or music, and do whatever you want to keep yourself happy, even if it's the most ridiculous and stupid thing. That's it.
All right. It's been fun talking to you, man, Suketu. think our second session, second part got too like informative and stuff. But yeah, we're gonna host you someday again and chat about some things that we haven't. In the meantime, those aspiring DJs online over here, Music School has moved online. We have got a lot of online courses and stuff. Do tune in, do check it out. Log into our website to find more information. And I don't know who my guest is next week, but yes, Vipul, like you said, I would definitely love to get even NYK online. He's one of the most talented, gifts to this industry, I feel. Yeah, 100%. Like, what a guy he is, man. Like, वो भी बहुत सही आदमी है.
Killer. No, I know. Been listening to his music since the longest time.
He's being selectively available. I think like I should make some girls call him up and all. But Suketu, all the best. Thank you for giving us your time. It's been wonderful. Everyone over here has got so many nice things to say about you. Guys, don't forget, set an alarm. 6:30 by the bay on Suketu's channel.
Set. Thanks, Lamit. See you guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.